Hello and welcome to Boomer Live once again. And here we are celebrating India's qualification into the final of the Asia Cup, sealing that win against Sri Lanka. A nail biter of a game. Not often we get to talk about it. A nail biter in a 50 overs. And to add to that, let's just talk about the way in which this game was. Maybe the scoreline might not suggest the fight back, the grit, the determination shown by Sri Lanka as well. They were outstanding in terms of the fight back, and India really held on even towards later end when the conditions got dewy. Kuldeep Yadav once again picking up 4 wickets. Rohit Sharma scoring a very important 50. Very tough conditions to play cricket, especially for the batters. But India managed to come on top by winning the match by 41 runs. Have Jaren, who's possibly traveling right now, joining. Jaren, what a win that was for India.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you would have to say that in many ways, this was the kind of match we expected. We knew that Sri Lanka is going to be strong at home. They knew how to play at home. But they showed a lot of things that, we saw Pakistan fail at yesterday. They restricted India in the middle overs, they made it tougher. And it also showed, probably today was the one day that showed the importance of a good spinner in these kind of conditions. Velalage and Tikshana both, especially Velalage, you saw how he did not allow Indian batters to really find their singles and their doubles, really restricted them. I mean, when you put pressure on batters like that, they're bound to play shots, either get too defensive or they're bound to play shots that end up losing. I mean, they end up losing the wickets, and that's what happened today with India.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something which you always expect as well, isn't it? Especially with a team like India, you expect them to step up, in these kind of adversity, and that's what you want to see. Often you see a team being put under pressure, and you want to come back hard, and that's something which you saw. You were put under pressure by a quality opposition. This you can't say Sri Lanka is a mere walkover. You really saw what that team was all about, the determination, and that is literally what you can expect out of the Sri Lanka team. Veralage, I mean, credits to him. I mean, you saw a man of the match performance. I mean, it's not often you'd see an opposition player can be given a man of the match, but I feel really today is a day you can really give an opposition player a man of the match for what he did. 5 wickets, 20 years of age, batting with a lot of grit, determination, took the game deep. You have to say Indians were put under all sorts of pressure with that spell from Viralage.
But yeah, absolutely. He maintained the line and length. He did not. I mean, throughout, if you look at his bowling throughout, what he did was he maintained the stump line. He did not give batters any room whatsoever. He was always near the stumps, and that meant that Indian batters had to defend both their inside edges, outside edges, and also their pad and then their wickets. So he brought all sorts of dismissals into play. And what he really have to give credit to is Dasun Shanaka, who maintained that kind of field where it was very aggressive. It was it was where neither none of the batters could really take a single and get away, because as a bowler your idea is to set the batsman up, ensure that the batter faces most of the delivery so you can play with the psyche. The moment the batter takes a single and gets across, it's very tough and it's almost next to impossible, to have the next batter then again start the game from square one. But what he really, what the field setting really allowed Velalage was one batter, six deliveries, and then he really set all those Indian batters up. To get the wicket of Rohit and Kohli in one match itself is a big feat. Then to get the wicket of Shubman Gill, Hardik Pandya, even a set KL Rahul who was playing so beautifully, it was just brilliant from him.
Absolutely. Pakistan, Sri Lanka becomes a virtual semi-final. Yes, Kapil. Yes, it does. Jaren is going to Goa right now. That's where he's in the bus. Jaren is traveling to Goa. I think we lost his connection as well. I think he's. Oh shit! I lost my camera as well. Just a second. Nonetheless, yeah. So Jaren is going to Goa, and I am going to be doing the live from now on. Most likely, Jaren will be having a good vacation in Goa, and he will be joining us from the beaches of Goa. And we have someone else in Sri Lanka right now. So it's all different people on different parts. All are in beach destinations, chilling out there. And for me, yeah, I'm here, stuck in Bangalore, nonetheless. But talking about which, I personally thought Velalage showed a lot of maturity. Temperament is something which we often talk about, and temperament is the most important factor, especially when it comes to the modern day games, and especially in 50 overs format, you need that extra bit of temperament to deal with the match situation even better. And that's something which you saw from them. Every player, even Dhananjay De Silva, you saw a lot of temperament in terms of the way in which he was playing, and also Lage. But talking about Indian batters as well, let's talk about India's middle order. They were exposed quite a bit, but they really could only do what they can. That was one of the hardest pitches to bat. Even their KL Rahul and Ishan Kishan stitched a very important partnership, ensuring there was no bigger collapse. And that possible partnership laid or helped Akshar Patel with Siraj to add the 27 runs in the end as well. I think Jaren is stuck. So nonetheless, I think as he comes back, we will talk about it. But yeah, why haven't I gone with him? Jaren is from Goa, guys, so he has gone to Goa, to his home. I don't know. That's why I did not go. Thank you, India, and well, yeah, obviously, you. India, Pakistan. Where I was hoping that India wins against Sri Lanka, but Abel Venani coming to Kochi. Yeah, soon. India, I will come to Kochi as well. Don't worry about that. So that is there. But Sri Lanka gave hiccups in the first half. Yeah, Sri Lanka did give a lot of hiccups in the first half to start off with. That first three wickets which was picked up by Velalage, that really put India in the back foot. But after that, just to even to get going in the pitch like that, it was always going to be difficult. You knew anything in excess of 220, and India were in the game completely, and that's something which you saw today as well. India were able to stitch that score of 214 at the end of the day and to make a game out of it. That's why you give credit to the opening spell by Bumrah and Siraj. In a game, for the first ever time in the history, India's all 10 wickets were picked by Sri Lankan spinners as well. So, or by any sort of spinner. India lost all 10 wickets against spinners. So that's not a great stat to have. But then Sri Lanka, nobody expected him. He picked up four. Velalage picked up five. So not the suspected ones who picked up a lot of wickets, but nonetheless, India will be considerably happy, but they'll also be looking at it from a different perspective and thinking that okay, we'll have to score more, and you have to have a plan to play in these kind of pitches because these kind of pitches can be extremely challenging if you look in a larger perspective. Do you think India will bat second or use bench strength versus Bangladesh? I think India should use Shami and maybe give Surya as well one game. But I doubt that's going to happen because India would want to get even washroom. No, I have to do washroom. So yeah, either way, I think Jaren ke pucha.
Yeah,
Jaren is in bus right now, not
yeah, I'm in the bus right now. I don't know how this looks like a
Jaren.
washroom to you, but yeah, it's a bus.
Yeah, but yeah, either way, Jaren decided to go off for a vacation, so that's right. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
uh,
guys. I
that's
mean, don't make it sound so cool, Abel. I stay in Goa, so it's like me just going back to my parents.
yeah. So yeah, that sounds better, right? Jaren is going to go
Yeah,
off on vacation. That sounds better. But either way,
yeah, that does sound
what do you
better.
reckon about this, especially when it comes to India's struggle against Spain? You think that's going to be something which India will take a note of? Because I know we're not going to get pitches like this in the World Cup or anywhere else, but then this can be used as a weapon against India in anywhere in the world. Because I know it was the hardest of pitches to be on, especially in the first innings. Consumer Dryer and Velalage was too good, but that is certainly something to think about as well.
Yeah, I mean, but I think many ways I wouldn't really blame India's batting today because the kind of deliveries that the batters got out on. I think Kohli probably is the one player. Kohli the way he got out, or even in many ways maybe Ishan Kishan the way he got out. I think those are the only two players for me that you would really say, okay, those were some balls that you could have played better. Especially I think Ishan Kishan's delivery, the way he got out. I think that was the kind of delivery you don't want to pitch. You could have really got to the taken it as a full toss and smashed it over the cover the short cover as he wanted to. Instead, he let it bounce, and that's where he got lost his wicket. Kohli as well, kind of played it into the air where he should have played it down the ground. But aside from that, if you look at Rohit's dismissal, Shubman's dismissal, or Jadeja for that matter, or
Hardik.
even KL Rahul, Hardik as well. I think all those dismissals were just two good deliveries. You couldn't really do anything for it. KL's delivery bounced way too much. Jadeja as well. Rohit did not bounce at all. There was no way he could have. No one in this world would have played that delivery. And I think Shuman Gill was just a peach. So I think in this case, I know it's easy to really question India's batting here, but I think you'd have to say that India played really well. In many situations, the ball did turn, especially the likes of KL and Ishan. Ishan, though, I felt like he was being a little too timid, but especially KL, he was really good on his with his feet movement. The ball that he played on the back foot, he stayed on the back foot because he realized that the ball is creating uneven bounce, but that did not mean that he did not get onto the front foot as well. There were good patches of play for India where he played really well. But aside from that, I think today's pitch was just very difficult. The kind of deliveries that Asalanka and Velalage pitched up and pitched out to India, it was just almost impossible for them to really do anything with it. It was those kind of deliveries which you really hope doesn't take the edge or misses the stumps.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's where I personally feel. I mean, let's not be critical about the Indian team as well. I think 220 to 30 was a good score on that wicket. That wicket
Yeah,
was a
precisely.
proper day two wicket of a test match more than a 1 day game. It was hard. Day two, day three wicket. The ball was spitting. The second innings it got easier to bat on, let's be honest, because under dew, the ball did not spin as much. And though it did a lot, as much as it was in India's first innings, because of the dew, the ball was coming on slightly better on the bat as well, especially you saw the partnership between Dhananjay and Veeralage. That's when the dew was at its highest, and the batting also got much more easier at that point, because once the dew settles onto the pitch, it gets much easier for the batters also. But then even there, to maintain the composure is so important. India really waited to pick that one wicket that created the inroad. Then Kuldeep Yadav once again picking up those 4 wickets. But before that, we have to talk about the importance of having that extra spinner today as well. I think Akshay Patel was so important with the bat more than with the ball. His contribution with the
Yeah,
bat really showed what was the difference in today's game.
absolutely. I mean, again, 20, 25. I think 25 runs is what he scored. Really important runs. And I think it was really good to see even Bumrah and Siraj, really contribute. I think they only made 10. I think they made 10 runs together, but I think they faced from 20 odd deliveries together, which meant that India's batting extended a little bit more, that Akshar Patel got to bat a little bit more. And I think in many ways it was good to see that Indian batting was able to survive a lot more, because otherwise the moment seventh wicket fell, most often than not you would see Indian batters really crumble, and then score would end up at 175, 176, which Sri Lanka would have found easier to chase. But
Yeah,
credit to Indian batting, and then again the tail. Akshar Patel did the same job that he did for us during the Test series against Australia as well. So as I said yesterday as well, right? I think Akshar Patel for me on wickets like this in Sri Lanka, I think he provides a lot more value with the bat than someone like Shardul Thakur. Something against Shardul Thakur, but Akshar Patel I feel is slightly a better bat than Shardul. And I know we didn't need him in today's game as a spinner because Kuldeep, Jadeja, everyone bowled really well. But even if we needed him, he would have provided some really good inroads because very similar bowlers, Jadeja, Velalage, and Akshar Patel.
truly, truly. But then I also felt Vailage used his crease to best of effect. He got better conditions as well, and he really showed a lot of maturity in terms of his accuracy. Dunit Vailage better than Shadab Khan is what Aisha says. Maybe yes, I'm not pretty sure of who's a better bowler, but I still think Dunit is in good form, and that is where I would rather face Pakistan in the final over Sri Lanka, because if the conditions are any similar like this against Sri Lanka in the final, that's going to be very tricky. And even Pakistan in that game against Sri Lanka, I think it's the next game what they play. It's not going to be easy at all. Day after tomorrow, as they take on Sri Lanka, it is going to be a tricky, tricky game for a lot of reasons. Number one, let's be very honest. That wicket, if it's going to be the same wicket as for the Pakistan game, it's going to turn. I think Sri Lankan spinners will be a menace for the Pakistani batters as well, because Tikshana, Dunit Velalage, all Erege, the likes of even Dhananjay Silva, Sri Lanka, these guys are going to really trouble Pakistanis a lot. I know there's not a lot of mystery factor in it, but still, that just the good way in which they can possibly control Pakistan's lack of spinners. They won't be possibly able to restrict Sri Lanka with their spinners. That is where I think Sri Lanka will have an upper edge. And also knowing that Harris, Rauf, and Naseem might not take part in the Asia Cup now for at least in the next match at least, that is a big dent as well. So Sri Lanka are the favorites maybe going into that particular game, but you never know. I would rather face Pakistan is by what I personally think, but Sri Lanka are a much tougher team at this point at least. Yeah, but let's talk about finally about Sri Lankan team as well. Now going up for the big game, how much of a chance do you give the Sri Lankan team? Because now you certainly feel there's something about this team which can really pull things off. 13 one-day wins in a row. They lost. The streak was broken today, but they certainly were on the draw to win the 14th one. I think we just lost Jen there. But I personally feel, just talking about which as well, 14, if they could have possibly done, if any team could have possibly done it, it was going to be the Sri Lankan team, because the form they were in, the quality they have against to play spin. I mean, today you saw the composure they showed. I know 178 and 41 runs look like a big margin, but ultimately in the larger scheme of things, you just need to know the fight back what they showed. The phases in which they fought back, that was so important. And that's where you were talking about a team like Sri Lanka. I was just talking to Jen as well. Right now, I was just telling you that how important it is going to be for Sri Lanka now. I know they will possibly start as favorites against Pakistan, isn't it?
I still think, in many ways, able one thing that Sri Lanka will be afraid of is their batting, right? Can the Sri Lankan batters? I know that Nawaz and Harris both are under. Whether they'll play or not is a bit of concern for Pakistan. They've also flown in two substitutes. I think one of them is Shahnawaz Dahani. I don't really recall the other guy's name, but even then, the three of them, I think even if Mohammad Wasim Jr., Shanawaz Dahani, they're not bad ballers. They're really good on their day. We've seen that in the Asia Cup previous time around. Can the Sri Lankan batters really negate the threat of these bowlers? Today again, we saw that the Sri Lankan batters struggled against pace bowling of Bumrah and Siraj. Now, if that repeats again tomorrow, I mean not tomorrow, rather, it repeats tomorrow, yeah. Uh, is that going to play a factor? If they're able to negate that 10 overs, then Sri Lanka is on top. Provide a target of 220, 230, I think Sri Lanka can really squeeze Pakistani batters. But Pakistani pacers once again are going to become very important in tomorrow's match, and it's a virtual semi-final, like Kapil called it perfectly.
It is a semi-final, definitely, and that's why you think for India now that they've qualified, have a queue next to them. I am expecting at least a couple of changes in the fast bowling department. Maybe give a Bumrah or a Siraj a rest and get back a Shami or a Prasid just for a game to see how they go about it, and maybe throw in a Surya Kumar Yadav. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, I think give a few players a few chances. I mean, I know Bumrah has only played two matches. I would actually go with Shami and Siraj. Swap them because Siraj has had a little bit more workload than Bumrah. Bumrah is just coming into it and he's looking good. You want to give him a lot more match time before the World Cup. Siraj probably can take a bit of a break while Shami gets in a run, and I think I'll agree. Suryakumar Yadav probably instead of and Ishan Kishan in many ways. I'll tell you why, because I think Ishan Kishan did go off the field for a while. So if there is an injury concern, or even if not, probably Surya Kumar Yadav just to give him a sense of how he can manage at the number 5 position in case we need a replacement. Even though you would have to say that Surya Kumar Yadav, if you look at the pecking order, is below Shreyas Iyer and then him, because Ishan Kishan also, we don't know if Ishan Kishan or Shreyas Iyer, either one of them could be replaced. Or we also, I think India plays a match on 15th now after this, so a little while. But yeah, I think a few changes here and there. But yeah, rest of it probably the same.
Team batting first will have a huge advantage in the knockout game. I personally think in Sri Lanka in general, any team batting first will have an advantage because of the conditions.
Yeah,
It's going to be it's going to turn like what you saw today. And anything next to 250 is a winning total in Sri Lanka in any other ways. I mean, yesterday what India scored was 300 runs above par, in my opinion. I still thought even the 266 game would Pakistan were talking they would have chased, and I personally think that would not have been the case
yeah. I
because
think today showed able. Today really showed the fact that you know it would have been not easy as easy as the pundits thought it would be. I know many people came out and said that 260 would be a very easy target to chase, but look at how it went for today. It was swinging, it was spinning. I know the swing really went away after the 10th over, but imagine a pitch where the ball is swinging and it's also going to spin later on. The dew really negated it, but I don't think there would have been any dew on the day that India Pakistan played the first time around, because there were heavy clouds. It had already rained. I think the dew factor would have been negated. Today, I was a bit surprised by the amount of dew that we saw today. There wasn't a lot of dew like you would see in Dharamshala at this point in time, but there was enough to disrupt the bowling. But having said that, I think anything about 230 is par. 230 is definitely par, 50-50, and anything about 250 is almost next to difficult to chase at least.
absolutely, and that's why you think in Sri Lankan conditions, batting first becomes even an important facet. And knockout games, especially, there will be any knockout games, you bat first in conditions like this, you are in a better position. In chasing down, if you lose a couple of wickets in the power play, then you're always going to be in the back foot, and then you're always going to be behind the 8 ball game as well. And I know there's a lot of banter going on in the comments, but there was
Yeah,
a by Kapil asking, as IL lost his place with Charles, but see, if Iyer is not fit, Shardul, I still think will come back into the team once the pitch is not this dry, or you get a better pitch. Shardul will still walk into the team because Shardul has done nothing wrong to lose his place to Akshar as well. So I for Iyer, if he's not
yeah,
fit,
yeah.
I still think there will be a question. Right now, they say they're assessing his condition. We still don't know. It's not serious, is what we hear. But if he can't prove his fitness, if he keeps getting injured every now and then the selectors and the captain will be like, okay, by 27 we can still change the squad. Why don't we just drop Iyer and get a Sanju in? And then Sky is
Yeah.
definitely the team. If Ishan is doing a good job, then it could be either Sanju or Tilak who will just get that nod ahead of Iyer if he's getting continuous back spasms. Remember, he's getting that same issue again and again and again. And as a team management
But
heading into the World Cup, you can't just wait for one player to get fit all the time. You have to have a clear thinking, and almost everything of yours is sorted. except this one player, and so that's where India will be very, very, very jittery about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think probably, but from what I understand, even KL Rahul wasn't supposed to play in India Pakistan match. He was told in the last minute, according to an interview he gave to Star Sports, I think it was, where he said last minute he was told that he's playing in the playing 11, hadn't gotten his kit in the dressing room, had to go to the logistics manager, get the kit. So I think from what I can gauge at this point in time, even they didn't expect Shreyas Iyer to have that issue. It was something that sprung up all of a sudden. And I think that's the reason why the assessment is going on. But if that's the case for me, then I'm a huge Sanju Samson fan. I'll be very frank with you. But if you really have to, then Sanju Samson's in this team as a backup keeper. If you have a KL Rahul, a Shreyas Iyer, I mean not a Shreyas Iyer, but rather a Nishan Kishan in the team, probably the one person that misses out then will be Sanju Samson, because then I think Tilak Verma is a better option to bring in, especially because he can ball a bit. He's already balled in international cricket, got a wicket as well. So maybe he's a better option. I know it'll be really harsh on Sanju for him to miss out on the World Cup, especially over a Tilak Verma who's yet to debut in one day cricket. But I think just looking at the balance of the team, Tilak Verma might provide you a little bit more. But having said that, then the consideration also has to be on experience. Sanju is more experienced. He can obviously hit the ground running faster than Tilak Verma. Playing him in the World Cup right away will be also an issue. But for me, just looking at the sake of balance, I think Tilak Verma might just walk in. And I wouldn't be surprised to me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something which they will definitely have a chat about this as they go near to the World Cup as well before 27th, of course. What I liked about Rohit is the same thing of MS when they cross bat for the respect of the pitch. I think MS prefer chasing more often than not irrespective of the pitch. MS always love chasing, so I think that's the other
Yeah,
way around.
yeah, but I think on these pitches which turned a lot, he loved to defend. I think when he plays for Chennai Super Kings as a captain, he's more often than not elected to bat first. That's what he's talking about right now, because this IPL we saw Rohit and Dhoni are the only two batters. I mean I had done a sort of an analysis on toss and winning batting first. It was only Rohit and Dhoni who had batted first 4 times compared to other teams. I think second best was David Warner, again playing on a very turning condition in Delhi. So, but I think that's what he's trying to talk about. So yeah, Dhoni loved squeezing the opponents by defending a target, and he was a master of this. So today was great to see Dasun Shanaka do a very similar job. So yeah, it's one of the lost arts, placing field for the spinners, and I think it's good to see. Even Rohit did a very good job for Kuldeep and Jadeja today.
Absolutely. And that's why you really feel like as a team, what Rohit would have gained a lot of confidence is defending. And today's kind
Yeah,
of game, the games like today really test the character of the team. And team really galvanized together as well. You
absolutely.
saw everybody was in, everybody wanted that extra bit of charge up, and everybody was there. From what what people have seen, Bumrah is he completely fit or there's no injury worries? Uh, there's no injury worries. It doesn't look like 2007 and 2030. Yeah, MS was the bat. I don't think there's a lot of
Yeah,
injury worries there. It looks like Bumrah is totally fit. I mean, he came to ball 2 spells today and he looked very good in the first spell. Second spell as well, good. So there's no injury worries, and it's good. It's tough to play in these conditions as well. So you get a break. I would rather rest Bumrah in the Bangladesh game than get him all set for final. Just give that extra bit of break because you were on the field for 3 continuous days now. I would not say Bumrah especially because they
yeah,
are doing breaks, but 2 continuous days. It's 2 different games. It's a lot of hecticness, to go through recovery and process. So maybe rest the fast bowlers against Bangladesh and you hit the ground running against Pakistan. Now Bangladesh game is just a dead rubber for you at this point at least. So that is what I personally think. But other than that, what I think about this team is their win today is going to give them a lot of confidence. At least looking at that'll give them confidence as to we can defend low scores as well. We and Kuldeep Yadav once again, gem of a bowler, shown so much that technical change
yeah,
which he has brought in is really reaping rewards for him in this new Kuldeep 2.0 version. Because after that injury, you really felt like Kuldeep was going to have a tough time coming back. His first, I mean, when you bring the talk about Kuldeep, especially his first stint with the Indian team and international cricket, he did well, but he tapered off pretty fast as well because he was not quick off the surface. He was very slow off the surface,
yeah,
which made batters to predict him and play him out better. But now that extra bit of zip which he has got, using of the non-bowling arm more often, his non-bowling arm which should drop down very quickly in his previous stint. But after that regen, after that injury, his run-up has become much more straighter, and that is really
yeah.
done a world of good. And now he's picked up 9 wickets in 2 games, and won his two proper games, and that's why you have to give credit to him. And today, once again, he showed what an asset he is to a team like India. Especially in conditions like this, or if the ball turns even a slight bit, even in due conditions, you have to say one bowler who can really do it. That's Kuldeep Yadav for you, and that is where you have to say this guy has got something about him. And let's remember, it's the first possible time where an opposition player has won a player of the match. It's not often that has happened. So let's give credit to Udit Vadalage as well. An opposition player has won the
Oh
player
yeah.
of the match, which is very good to see.
Oh, he absolutely deserved it. 40, 42 runs brought the team very close. At a point in time, you felt like Sri Lanka was going to cruise when Dhananjay De Silva and Velalage were batting together. This guy, he's got a very good head on his shoulders. He was the under 19 captain for Sri Lanka in the recent 2022 World Cup. He is also the highest wicket taker, if I'm not wrong, in that World Cup. So he has done it on the big stage for Sri Lanka. I know a lot of people will say that the standard of cricket is obviously different in under 19, but you have to imagine for a 19-year-old guy to be playing, that's probably the highest level of cricket he could achieve. And then it's just 1 year later, he's here playing for Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup. So yeah, absolutely brilliant from him. And there's nothing special about him. I think he's only got two weapons in his arsenal. He comes around, he comes really wide across the crease, uses the crease really well, and he creates angles. The ball will turn in and the ball will turn really sharply. You never know, and that's what happened, right? The one that took Shubman Gill out was the one that turned really sharply. Then Rohit Sharma was expecting the ball to turn sharply, so he tries to get the pad out of the way, and that one just comes straight in, crashes to the leg stump. So it's very he keeps it very simple, balls the right line and length. And what an asset to have. You probably expected Sri Lanka to really miss a Hasaranga who's been brilliant for them. But now all of a sudden you don't miss him. Now the question really is it really fair to drop a Velalage when Hasaranga comes back into the fold?
How do you think Bobby Badshaw will do against Sri Lanka? I think Bobby Badshaw will be bodied. Actually, what I think. Bobby Badshaw. I think they're not playing Nepal or Hong Kong, or else there was a Bobby Badshaw would have been a Badshaw. But nonetheless, I was just looking at Bobby Badshaw's career stats overall. His one good knock in his entire career has been against New Zealand in the World Cup. Unlike everything has been against second string teams. So Bobby Badshaw is better than Bobby Badshaw only remains that second string bully. And obviously Lahore pitches were against Nepal, quality
I
attack,
mean, you would have
Hong
to say,
Kong,
Abel, that in many
Hong
ways,
Kong, Nigeria, India, Kenya,
you would have to
Bobby
say, Abel,
Badshaw
that the pitch he played on in England was also very flat. It was not like it was a troublesome pitch in the New Zealand match. That whole World Cup, the only
That's
reason
so
why there
true.
were low scores is because it was a World Cup.
100 of 130 balls, great. I mean, I was looking at his strike rate of his hundreds. He's got most of the 120. Obviously, when you play for hundreds, you will do that. And then you compare with Bobby Badshaw with someone else and all. Don't even start
King
because
Kohli.
Bobby Badshaw will remain
Oh,
Bobby
you know
Badshaw.
what? There was a very interesting scenario in the commentary box today. So Dominic Cork, right, the Englishman, when he was commentating, and Dasun Chanaka had just, brought in Velalage, 3, 4 wickets had fallen down. India was not exactly in the spot of bother, but there was, obviously some dark clouds quite literally looming over. And Dominic Cork said this very interesting line where he said, he's like, I really like Dasun Chanaka's captaincy because they're very proactive, not like some international captains who hide behind their ballers when things go wrong and stop reacting to the pitch. It was very interesting. He said that. He did not mention the name of the captain, but if you saw yesterday's match, I think we can all gauge who the captain he was referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. बॉबी किंग था, किंग रहेगा. अब तो मैं कहाँ बोला किंग नहीं है. बॉबी तो किंग ही रहेगा. नेपाल, हांगकांग, नाइजीरिया, उगांडा,
Yeah,
किंग ही रहेगा.
we are huge fans of Bobby Badshaw.
Big fan. My favorite player is Bobby Badshaw. Who told you this? Anybody talks against Bobby Badshaw, my Twitter army and myself will fight you out. Single, one by one by one. That's how Rajnikant fought it in jailer. One by one by one. Single hour. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the specs as well, so I'm all ready to get into the jailer mode.
हाँ ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 100 था. मैं क्या क्या बोल रहा हूँ. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में इंग्लैंड 100 नहीं था. But was it all in winning causes? Let's check it out. So
We
yeah,
aren't going. We aren't going against Bobby Badshaw. Bobby Badshaw is world number one ODI batter. He deserves that spot.
yeah,
He's been really
he's
good.
world number
I
one
think.
batter for a reason.
Yeah,
Let's respect that.
absolutely.
Absolutely, he's the greatest batter of his generation by a country mile. I think he is right there. For me, Bradman, Bobby Badshaw, and whoever else. That's it. Bobby Badshaw ends the debate. The name itself ends the debate. Bobby Badshaw. Now, what more can I say? What
Absolutely.
more can I say?
आयशा
और
गुस्सा
where
मत
did I
हो
say?
हम बॉबी बादशाह के
बाबर के
साइड में.
तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 100, इंग्लैंड में 100, साउथ अफ्रीका में, और क्या जवाब
See, I
चाहिए?
think,
अरे मैं
but
क्या
then
बोल
if you
रहा हूँ?
really look at
मैं
it,
यही बोल रहा हूँ कि जिस तरीके से बाबर खेला वो बहुत अच्छा ही रहा। इंग्लैंड में नवाब किया, उसके बाद ऑस्ट्रेलिया में जाके ऑस्ट्रेलिया को ठोका, और वो सब सीरीज आप लोगों ने तो 5-0 6-0 तो जीता भी हुआ है। और इंग्लैंड में जाके इंग्लैंड को इतना बुरा नहीं कुछ मारा, इंग्लैंड का सी टीम को भी वो है,
see,
मस्त रहा
even
यार, मतलब मैं तो
I think see, Babar isn't a bad batter. He's easily one of the better batters in the world right now. He's done well in many countries. He got an average of 84 in Zimbabwe. I think he's got an average of sorry. So he's got an average of 124 in
अरे
Zimbabwe. He's
once
done
again
really
मैं
well.
बाबर किंग है मेरे लिए, हमेशा बाबर किंग है, किंग ही रहेगा। मैं कहाँ बोला कि
Absolutely.
Babar, Bobby Badshaw is
We
the reason. For me, I am like the biggest fan of Babar Azam.
But
Like the way
why
he
did they
just
call him Bobby? How is he Bobby?
this is not going to that. He's Babar, Bobby Badshaw will never. But I don't know about the Bobby Badshaw thing, but he's the king. He's the king of South Asia, and he will remain the king of South Asia.
Yeah,
Obviously South Asia में तो बहुत अच्छे अच्छे teams भी है, तो क्या बात है। क्या क्या बोला नेपाल
absolutely.
बल्ला, क्या
Oh, I just have to remind you one
Nepal
thing though.
तो Nepal is a
I
bad
just have to
team.
remind you one thing, Aisha.
Nepal is a bad team.
Uh,
Kohli has 0
I
runs
just
against
remind.
Nepal. Wait. Kohli has 0 runs against Nepal. Babar averages 150 against Nepal. So obviously Nepal is a good team. Who told you this?
No, Kohli has scored against Nepal, bro. They
Yeah.
chased to. Oh, he did. Oh, they
Sri
did. He
Lanka
did.
no
He
runs.
didn't get the bat. He didn't get the bat. He didn't get the bat. My bad.
I
My bad.
think they will be one of the dark horses in this year's World Cup. We're writing them a
Oh
fool.
yeah, yeah,
Be a
absolutely.
good team in this World Cup. Because remember, do not
I
even Sri Lanka strong team. Well, Avishka Fernando, Hasaranga, Samira, Lahiru Kumara, these guys also will come back into this team. So by that,
Hasranga. Yeah,
yeah, Hasaranga. He's the Sri Lankan Premier League king. So let's say
but I
Hasaranga is
think
also
Sri Lanka's biggest strength. Yeah, but I think Sri Lanka's biggest strength for me.
that topic as well. If I
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
choose one Pakistani player in RCB, that will be Babar Azam.
Sure, dude. I think if he comes and plays for Chennai, he'll start whacking at 190, dude.
तो मैं क्या बोला, मैं फिर से बोल रहा हूँ ना,
Sorry?
बाबर is the greatest
I'm
player.
on a live actually.
So that's fine. But Babar is the greatest player to have ever played the game right now in this generation, and he's by a country mile
Yeah,
ahead of a lot of people. So let's just end that. I think Jen, you can gain a subscriber who's sitting next to you as well. Maybe tell him as well to subscribe to our channel. Whoever it
yeah,
is.
sure, why not? Yeah.
Will remain Bobby Badshaw, and he's the greatest player to ever play the game. Nepal, Hong Kong, Kenya, Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, जो भी है,
Yeah.
उन लोगों के साथ भी runs बनाना पड़ता है. It's not like runs
No,
come with free.
see, even he's got good averages against some of the best playing nations, but then even in the venues, even in Australia or New Zealand, he's got good averages. But one issue that I've had with Babar is that he's not really turned up on big occasions like the India. For example, against India, he has an average of 31, which is the lowest he has against any major playing
He's gone
any
down to 29.
major cricketing nation. I think he's gone down to 29 now. So yeah, that's the issue with this Pakistan team. I think bigger issues for them is that they've been playing at home. They've been taking it easy. It's about time that they go out. And this year they are going out. I think this touring cycle, they are going out and playing some big matches. That's where he'll be tested. That's where, see, I think the reason why we hold Kohli at such a high stature is because he's played matches in Adelaide. He's played in England. He's played in South Africa in tough conditions where India was struggling. That's still a stage where Babar has to reach.
You score runs to win games, and you score runs for
Yeah.
runs. That's a big difference. And
Yeah.
Babar is a great batter, but is he a match winner?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where the question is. So
That
Babar
is
can
the question.
score runs.
Absolutely.
See, for me, I think I will have Babar as my team as a run scorer. But yeah, Bobby Badshaw, yes, absolutely. Bobby Badshaw के लिए ताली बजाए सब लोग. Bobby Badshaw के लिए कैमरामैन जल्दी इधर फोकस करो Bobby Badshaw के ऊपर. तो हम सब ताली बजा सकते हैं Bobby Badshaw के लिए.
Unfortunately, I'm holding my phone with one hand, so I think I'll just clap. He's a good player.
He's a good player. He's my
I
favorite
think
player as well.
I really enjoy occasions, unfortunately, and that is still something that he has to work on as a player.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the biggest match winner in the Pakistani team right now is Bobby Bacha as well. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
So that's the thing.
see, he's a
So
star.
if
He's
Bobby
a star in
Bacha
his own
goes against
right.
Sri Lanka, he can really shut us up. He can come to the World Cup finals for a
Yeah,
hundred man and be the
yeah. Who
only
knows?
Bobby Bacha of all time. What are we talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that is what Pakistan is still favorites to win the Asia Cup, guys. Just for the notice, I still believe Pakistan are the favorites. I still hold on to my aces. India तो बस ऐसा ही खेल रहा है. Pakistan are the favorites. The world number one ODI team. क्या बात कर रहे हैं? 228 रन से हारा तो क्या पाकिस्तान वापस नहीं आ सकते? तो पाकिस्तान आएगा वापस और मेरे को लगता है कि
You know,
पाकिस्तान
even interestingly enough, they defeated Kohli by 6 runs, so they did a good job.
बॉबी और नसीम मेरा क्रश है ठीक है यार मतलब अच्छे बात है क्रश क्रश है यार
Good for
हाँ
you, Aisha.
Bully Mark Grau gay. Okay, whatever gay. We're done with that, Dave. Now. All right, we are off now. We'll be back tomorrow, day after tomorrow rather, for Pakistan versus Sri Lanka, the big game. So if Pakistan wins, they get into the final. India will have to play one more game against Bangladesh, and then India makes it to the final. India will be playing the final on Sunday, if I'm not wrong. So that's about it from us. Take care. Have a safe journey as well. See you all very soon. And don't forget to check out our channel and do share as much as possible. Pakistan lost the match against India the moment they chased close the ball. India struggled to chase against Pakistan in one-day matches. I don't know, man. I mean, to be very honest, in chasing Sri Lanka in general is going to be hard. I mean, even in that 266 game, I still thought India was the big favorites. Chasing any score in Sri Lanka is going to be hard. So that's the thing. So good night, all of you. See you all very
Yeah.
soon. Thank you, Risha. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, bye.